Welcome back to Canada's Blonde Moment. Hey everyone, so I want to quickly dive into a pretty hot topic that should have everyone talking. And if it hasn't yet, you haven't heard of it, I'm going to play it for you in a minute. You've probably heard, you all know we're going through this ongoing trade war, but there's something more sinister happening here. So Kevin Lutnick just made a bold statement that we need to pay attention to. And I'm going to share a short clip of that with you in just a second. But first, okay, let's get real. According to Lutnick, Canada's Liberal Party is using this trade war for one thing only: political gain. They're milking this entire situation, letting it drag on to the expense of hardworking Canadians like you and I. Tens of thousands of us are already out of work. Businesses are suffering, and all for what? For their political agenda. That's the real game here, and we're just the ones paying for it. Listen in.
Have some countries that actually thoughtfully examine how they do business with us. And then you have people like the Canadians who are in elections. So you have no idea. You think it's about a trade war. This is their way of getting election votes.
You just take a step back.
Okay, Lutnick made it pretty friggin' clear. It's impossible to deal with Canada until this election is over. Why? Because the Liberals are pushing this Canada First narrative, pretending it's about national pride. But it's nothing more than a distraction. They want us to rally behind this while they push their election strategy. And guys, we're falling for it. Hook, line, and sinker. The worst part? They're okay with thousands of Canadians losing their jobs just to score political points. To them, this is all just a game. But for us, guys, this is our livelihoods, our families, our futures. And instead of coming up with real situations, they're letting this trade war drag on for their benefit. It's insulting, really. Trump is talking about steel and aluminum, stuff that's important. So, how does Canada respond? How do we know it's a joke? Tariffs on sporting goods. Like, come on. Before we buy into this Canada First crap any longer, let's take a step back and think, who's really benefiting here? Spoiler alert, guys, it's not you or me. We're being played, and it's time to wake up.
You just take a step back and set the table. What are the stakes for today's meeting between you and Canadian officials?
Well, I think the stakes today, if you take a look at it from the big picture, is the United States said we need to have steel and aluminum domestically in America. In national security, you need metals to make bullets. You need metals to make munitions. You need metals to make everything. And Donald Trump is very focused on, let's make sure the key ingredients that are necessary to defend America are made here in America. And these other countries, they just don't pay attention. I mean, how many times do I have to say national security is important? And if you do like the EU and you respond by putting a tariff on Kentucky bourbon, which used to piss off Mitch McConnell, which doesn't really matter anymore, you got to wonder, really, do I have to deal with this stuff? But alas, we do.
Mr. Secretary, let's get to Europe in a moment. Let's just stay on Canada, and then we'll work our way to the EU if we can. For the Canadians, as you know, they've put tariffs on around $21 billion of US goods. Will that change your approach to today's meeting?
Well, I mean, take a look at that again. Let's take a step back. National security, we put a tariff on steel and aluminum to make sure the dumping countries of the world stop and we can build up our steel and aluminum in America. And what does Canada do? They put a tariff on sports equipment. I mean, really, this is just, it's tone deaf. Listen to the president. National security matters when he calls out things like semiconductors. He calls out pharmaceuticals. He calls out autos. These are things that matter to us as a country. And if you're going to respond to us with sports equipment, you're just not listening to President Trump.
Secretary Lutnick, how much are the conversations today actually about bringing up the negotiations when it comes to USMCA?
Well, USMCA, we set aside USMCA. So the United States made a deal with both Mexico and Canada that said if you have enough U.S. content in certain products or it's actually made domestically, they can trade between our countries tax-free. That remains intact. What is outside of that, is both things that don't have that American content that are imported from other countries. So that has a tariff on it. And now the president has said, look, there are certain topics I need to have us make in America. And steel and aluminum is key. I mean, we all understand that. So why not allow the greatest country in the world, who completely feeds Canada? Canada exists, completely feeds off of the amazing economy of the United States of America. Let us build up our steel and aluminum so that we can protect ourselves. And by the way, we protect Canada. I think Canada's got 60 planes. Oh yeah, they're really going to protect themselves. They're the lowest investor in NATO. They totally rely on us, and yet they think they need to respond to steel and aluminum tariffs. I mean, everybody is so used to picking off America, so used to it that they can't even stop. Donald Trump is here to say we need to be treated fairly, and we need to be treated fairly now.
We are so glad you came. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye now. Bye. Bye-bye.
That was Canada's blonde moment, and I am out.